if you want to raise your hand, I can come to you, and we can answer any questions we've got throughout the session. So the agenda today then, so obviously I'll do a bit of an introduction on who iCoTech services are, who I am, and then you've got me for a few short sessions, just talking about public sector in more detail and some of the challenges that I'm seeing across the public sector as we speak. I'll take you through Copilot, at a higher level in terms of some of the differences between Microsoft 365 Copilot and Agents. And then we'll deep dive into iCoPlan then for a second, because I want to show you what you could do with iCoPlan from an automation digitalization perspective anyway. That'll be a very whistle-stop tour. And then about 1:30 the hour, then I'll be handing over to Richard, our practice manager, to take you through Copilot Agents and the agent capability. And he's going to just talk you through some of those ideas, some of those concepts, some of those things that you can do now with Copilot Agents in place. All right, so I am going to just introduce myself. My name is Joel Markham. I am the CEO and founder of iCoTech Services. My background is in project portfolio management, and yeah, that's all I've ever done really is project portfolio management, and obviously then running into iCoTech Services back in 2019 time. So it's been a long journey since then, but fun and games, and thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, my background is well and truly project portfolio management. And what iCoTech is today, so iCoTech Services, we specialize in delivering project portfolio management, enterprise risk management, and strategic planning solutions. Everything we do is on the Power Platform. And some people would say, well, is Copilot different? But actually, from our perspective, from a technology perspective, Copilot is part of the Power Platform. And Copilot Studio is one of the applications within the Power Platform kind of system base that's available to us. We offer a consultative approach, so we're a bit different to other IT companies. We don't really have a service team, and we're a consultant-led function. So we continually work with our customers to advise, to guide, to steer, over a longer-term relationship. And obviously, then as a result of that, we end up building applications. So they're mostly complex business applications that we're iterating on over a period of time to help our customers digitally transform the way in which they work in their organizations. All right, so just some of the customers that we're really proud to work with in the public sector. There's a number of other customers on here as well. I can see a few people from our customer base have just joined into the call as well. And you might not see your name on there because we haven't had a chance to put your logos on there. So we're really, really proud to be working with some great public sector organisations like OCC, Neath Port Talbot, UK Hydrographics Office, St John's Ambulance as well, and a number of central and other local government organisations here in the UK. Yeah. All right. So having a kind of an overview of the public sector is something that we see ourselves in the best position to advise and to feedback. And that leads us nicely on then to this agenda item, just a quick scene setter really to what the challenges are in the public sector that I'm seeing from across my customer base, and on what those things are at the moment. So I think at the moment, from my perspective, a lot of public sector organisations are trying to become smarter, reducing costs and improving the ability to deliver better quality services. That cliche of doing more with less, potentially not that far, but doing more with what you've got, what's available to you, becoming more efficient, becoming more effective, and driving more efficiencies into the way in which organizations are operating to deliver better value to the end customer, whether that's the stakeholders, the communities that we're working with, or the internal processes and functions. So when we talk about our spectrum of what we look at and across our portfolio, we've got a lot of local government organisations, central government organisations, and healthcare organisations that we work with. And it's interesting to see that there is commonality across the challenges. So lots of organisations across those three sectors are having complex portfolios of change. So whether it's business change, organisational change, or whether it's technology change, so trying to leverage technology, lots, if not all of those customers in those areas are seeing complex portfolios of change, needing to be managed, needing to be tracked in order to deliver, in order to get efficient, in order to meet their objectives of the senior and the chief executives and their visions, etc. A constant theme that I see is limited resources to deliver. So, not no resources. There are, ample resources there to be able to deliver, but it's the case of going to get more FTE is probably a non-starter. So it's actually, how can I do the best things with the resources that we've already invested in? How can I make the most out of that portfolio of resources? And how do I make sure that we can do what we want to achieve in our objectives to meet the portfolio with the resources we have available to us? All right. And I think it is that cliche, as I said, delivering more with less, probably a little bit strong, but probably delivering more with what we've got is a definite theme and consistent pressure that I'm seeing across the public sector at the moment. All right. And the key thing underpinning all that is gaining clarity across the project portfolio. I believe is now more critical than ever. Having a view of what the portfolio looks like, what the projects are in that portfolio, and how those organizations are actually kind of delivering is really, really, really important at the moment. All right. And a theme I'm seeing across all of the organizations that we're working with is digitization, automation, and AI. I mean, I'm in the pub and I hear it. Richard told me a story the other day that his wife nearly had to drag him out of the pub because somebody next to him was talking about AI. He could see, his wife could see that he was going to go and have a conversation with him talking about AI. So AI is everywhere, but most importantly, it's also in our customer base as well. So every single customer we're talking to at the moment across iCoTech services is talking about automation, AI, and digitization, and that is a general theme across the customer base. I just wanted to touch on a few conversations or a few case studies, I guess, in those areas. So DHEW, as part of NHS in Wales, the Intellectual Property Office and Oxfordshire County Council have all adopted iCoPlan to enable them to digitise the way in which they work, enable them to manage and track their portfolio of projects, their goals, and how the projects underpin and link to those strategic objectives as well. So, they are in different areas technically, central government, local government, healthcare, but they're all in the public sector and they all share those pains and those challenges that I talked about 2 seconds ago. A couple of key bullet points and similar things that they face was legacy systems, even if it's Microsoft Project Desktop or Excel, and Project Online in a couple of cases as well. Actually, all three of them were using Project Online at the start. Low engagement on project tools. They all had that problem. Poor visibility across the project portfolio. That is, clear as day. When we did the discovery for each of those customers years ago, the amount of time it was taken to produce these PowerPoint reports and decks, I think it was like a 2-week cycle, and then the report would come out at the end, and we managed to reduce that to an hour. Press the button to refresh for all those existing all those customers, and then difficulty in aligning kind of the governance and the frameworks and control to projects. So one project, they didn't really know where it was in that process. So but by leveraging iCoPlan, and my point here is that without even going to AI, you can have automation and digitization and solve those problems. And that's my key point to take away from this section is, if you're feeling some of those pains I've articulated there, you're not alone. There's many organizations that we're working with now at the very start of our relationship that are feeling those pains. It is possible, but it's possible with digitization and automation. You don't need to go to AI to solve those problems, is the point. Right? But I know you're all here to talk about AI and you want to see Copilot. And so let's jump into that then. So I think this section is about just giving us a baseline understanding of Copilot and what it is, because it's talked about a lot. A lot of people are utilizing it, starting to utilize it. But I just wanted to really be clear on what it is and how we are talking to our customers about adopting AI. So Copilot it is in 2 form factors, really. You've got Copilot 365 on the left-hand side there, which is what you'd use in Excel or Word or Outlook, those type of platforms or products that you're using every day. You might see that AI thing pop up, or that Copilot thing pop up saying, do you want me to, redo this spreadsheet for you or optimize this thing for you? That's Copilot 365. All right. And most of our customers that we're talking to in a moment are on the bandwagon of trying to adopt Copilot 365. But a much smaller amount are actually aware or understanding the concept of agents, which are different to Microsoft 365. Copilot agents are like bots. They're like apps. They're value in a container, and they help us to automate business processes and to actually connect some like activities together. So that's the real power of AI and Copilot, in our opinion. Doing some stuff in Teams, doing some stuff, some automation, some quick fire processing, or some listing of things in Microsoft 365 is all well and good, but it's a little bit low value compared to the opportunity that we have to utilize agents to deliver complex business processes. So, from here on out, try to separate the Microsoft 365 Word, Outlook, Excel, Copilot that you have from, building agents, building apps, building bots, horrible word, that do certain things based on how you speak to it and what you ask it to do. There's a clear separation, in our opinion. All right. So, how we can interact with those, and to take it one step further, is that we have something called Copilot Studio. And Copilot Studio, if you don't know what it is, go and have a look at it. Obviously you might have to check with your IT departments whether you can actually access it. But this is the platform, this is the product that allows us to build agents. All right, so it's like Power Apps. Power Apps allows us to build apps. Copilot Studio, allows us to build agents. You could build an agent now. You could literally go on to, Power Platform, go on to Copilot Studio, got a license, you could start building your agent now. And the next thing to think about, though, is that how those agents can become connected. So you can build individual agents do individual things, and then you can connect them together to build a collection or a family of agents. All right, so you can start to get up the complexity scale, but just imagine an agent that is a desk booking agent connected to an agent that is a car park booking agent connected to an agent that is I need a diary help agent. All those three things together could then start to book a meeting with a car park space on a certain day in a certain place, in a room based on people's availability. So you can break down those use cases into smaller agents and then join them together to become a super agent. So the world and the possibilities are endless at that point, and we're really excited about that here in iCoTech Services. All right. If you think about the complexity and the journey of an agent, very basic and simple agent technology is about retrieval. Can I go and ask it to get me something? Can I go and ask it to tell me something about a process? And this is where we're starting with, in a lot of our customer journeys at the moment is, have you got a process, a document, a methodology, a defined way of doing things, and you've got a bunch of users saying, can you help me get through this gate? Can you help me, review this risk? Can you tell me what a risk framework is for X council, whatever it might be? That's retrieval. So that's the very basic agent, or I would say the simple side of things. The next step is that task agent where you're asking it to do something. So you're saying, based on my question or my request, can you go and do something, please? Set up a meeting, produce me a document, all sorts of things that you can do. Write me a PID in this context, write me a closure report in this context, whatever it might be. And that's a different step in the journey. And then autonomous agents are step 3. That is really about how do you get an agent to be self-sufficient and self-automating and repetitive, frequent based on certain scenarios. So let's say, I don't know, an agent is produced to go and create a automation flow and to create a business impact assessment if a project comes onto iCoPlan that is of significant risk. And can you go and produce the business case, do all the research, and send it to the sponsor ASAP, please? So that thing is always thinking in the background, it's always learning, and it's always growing. That was the worst example, by the way, of an autonomous agent. There's plenty more other cool things it can do, but I was struggling with my being in this webinar in the morning. My caffeine hadn't quite kicked in yet. But yeah, so hopefully it gives you some ideas of how you can start your journey on agents, and just some of the 3-step kind of maturities that you might find in when you're building an agent yourself. All right. There's lots of other complexities and lots of other options and possibilities behind the scenes. Microsoft will lead you to believe it's low code, no code. I think from Richard's kind of experience now in this space, I think our opinion is that it's much more pro code, especially when you try to get the action or the agent to start doing things for you. So you can do some agent building, especially the retrieval side of things with low code. But yeah, I think some of the elements that you might want to do, you need to think about pro code in the future. But there are agents available now. So this is the Microsoft slide of what's available now. So you have, IT help desk agents. You have a project tracker agent now. These are available to you right now. Questionable how useful they are, but if you want to go and start dabbling with them, I definitely suggest go and have a look at these agents. And some of them are more useful than others. But that's where your ability to go and add value or add functionality to those agents is through Copilot Studio with the help of us or whoever else you might choose to partner with. All right. So just a couple of, I guess, key points from my perspective of what you would need to do in order to make sure Copilot agents are as valuable as possible. It's a 3 kind of part checklist, basically. So data. You have to have your data in a consistent format and a consistent place. You have to have your knowledge, and I mean that in terms of, what does good look like? What is a good risk? What is a good issue? What is a good business case? You have to have all that documented in a Word document or a PDF document or some sort of information source. It could be a SharePoint intranet if you had that in place as well. But you have to have that there. And you have to have your processes built. If you're going down the agent route and you're sitting there now thinking, oh, all my data is in different places, I haven't got a defined way of working, I haven't really got a methodology, stop. Don't bother. There's literally no point in going to build that agent because you have to have your foundations in place first. There's no point putting a roof on top of the house. There's no point trying to build an extension to your house if you haven't got the house in the first place. And that's a really bad analogy, I know. I'm blaming the coffee again. But really think about these 3 points. And we talked to this in our event we did in Principality Stadium a few weeks ago. And a load of people came up to me afterwards and kind of took this away and was like, I get your point, Joel, and it makes sense. And I hope you guys do too. If you want to use Copilot, you have to get your foundations in place, specifically if you want to start using agents as well. Okay. So I've talked a lot, couple of key takeaways, but first one is there is a difference between Microsoft 365 Copilot and agents. Total different capability set, total different opportunity for PPM practitioners in delivering portfolios of change across public sector. 365 Copilot is okay, it helps, it works, it is going to change our world, but agents are going to dramatically change the way in which we work over the next 10 years. All right. Think of Copilot agents as power apps or bots, but they're powerful ways to transform business processes and connect things together. And you can use Copilot in many different ways, but if you can build a world where these agents are interconnected together, they become exponentially more powerful. So if you could build a benefit agent that's capturing benefits or evaluating benefits, and that's connected to a lessons agent that's understanding how lessons are being identified across your portfolio, putting out that analysis for the key lessons that are learned, You can upload a business case and you could say, tell me what lessons that you've, I should learn or, learn from in order to deliver this project business case. You can build those agents to do incrementally powerful things. When you connect them together, it becomes a whole nother ball game. All right. The agents can be simple and you can start off on that simple retrieval end, but it'd be unfair to say that they are always simple. They are incredibly complex, solutions, but incredibly powerful solutions as well. And they have many different use cases from across organizations. All right. I think the last point then, as I said at the end there, which is if you want to start your journey on Copilot agents, make sure you have your data, your knowledge, and your processes documented. And if you do that, you're onto a winner, and you'll have your foundations in place. Okay. So with that said, my last piece, I've got a couple more minutes left for me boring you to death with all this stuff. Then I hand over to Richard. But my last agenda item is really just taking advantage of what I said earlier in terms of digitization and automation. So this isn't a product demo. I'm not going to show you every single feature, every single function in iCoPlan. But what I wanted to say is that, when a customer approaches iCoTech services and says, I really want to adopt Copilot agents, the first thing we ask them is, where's your data in that triangle? Where's your data stored? A number of customers have already approached iCoTech and said, I want to do this, but their data is in 55 different Excel spreadsheets. Right? The risks are in SharePoint with different formats, different structures. They haven't got visibility of that portfolio at all. They want to go and use Copilot, but they haven't even got a PPM system in place at the moment, a central repository, a central way of doing things. So I'm going to spend 5 minutes just talking you through iCoPlan, because there's so much value you can extract from iCoPlan before even starting to invest. And it is an investment in Copilot agents. And I think that we passionately believe that you have to have your systems in place and your data in place before you start applying Copilot. And to the point that we're even not saying to customers, we're not going to entertain doing that for you, because the amount you would invest in that agent without your foundations in place, it wouldn't be right. Okay. So I'm just going to introduce iCoPlan and the concept with you for a couple of minutes, and then we'll move on to the Copilot agent walkthrough with Richard. So some of these problems on the page, you might resonate with, but there's a number of different external factors, external parties that are saying relatively the same thing for PMOs across the industry. But it is hard. The key point to me, I think, is the third one down or fourth one down, which is a PMO function uses on average 5.6 tools to deliver projects. And when I read that a few months ago, it really hit home. I was like, wow, is that true? And I reflected on the discovery days that I do with our customers. And I think, you could argue that it probably is true. PowerPoint, Excel, Project, SharePoint, some of those other tools. A lot of organizations we're working with are using lots of tools to do the same thing. All right. Collaboration is hard. Struggle. 20% of remote workers struggle with collaboration and communication. Yeah. And then the top one there is that 40% of enterprise applications will be integrated with task-specific AI agents by 2026. Not that far away. So, I think that the message here is that there's a challenge across industry with project delivery. And, even if you look to the bottom of that list there, collaboration tools and practices can lead to 20 to 30% improvement in project delivery times. Quite hard to measure those things, hence why I've listed from other parties. But the sentiment there, I believe in. Projects are hard to deliver. Projects fail. Collaboration is difficult. And there's an opportunity to reduce the time to deliver, but increase efficiencies if you had the right foundational platforms in place. All right. So when we were designing iCoPlan, we kind of took a subset of those. And we said, how can we deliver projects effectively? How can we put them all in one location? How can we decide what projects to do next? And how can we keep things in a central repository to keep that data? And this problem slide was created actually a 1 year ago, to be honest, if not longer. So those problems are still existing today. All right. I'm just going to come across to iCoPlan and just give you a walkthrough of iCoPlan, because apologies for those on the call who are already using iCoPlan. I've seen a few of you join. Give me a few minutes and I'll pass you on to Richard to do the Copilot walkthrough. But this is a Power Platform application that we've built as an accelerator. All right. It allows you to manage all your projects in one place. It allows you that in this use case here to take project requests from across your portfolio, answer some questions on strategic alignment, basic stuff for now. But the value of this platform, as people will know who are on the call are already using it, is that we can configure it to meet your requirements in your organization. So we're filling out this form and that button would go green and we can submit that new project request into the PPM system. All right, so no longer we're using Excel trackers, Microsoft Forms, Word documents for new request activities. But simply put, it's going into a system that allows us to track these requests and do something with them. Okay. Then when you're trying to organize and get visibility from that top of the portfolio, you've got a list of the portfolios here. So I can then go into a portfolio and I can see all of the programs and the projects that are related to my healthcare optimization portfolio at that level. Yeah, we've got the risks that are then being escalated above through the projects, through the programs into the portfolio level. All right. If I look at the level 2 now, we've got programs on the left-hand side, and then these are the projects that then relate to the program. So if you're doing program management and you're doing that, in Excel, struggling with the disparate data across different places, different data sets, hopefully you can see how this tool, you could quite simply, quite easily, to be honest, bring it all into one place. So if you imagine having all the programs, all the finances built out for your program business cases, all the status reports all in one place. No longer are we doing status reports on PowerPoint. We're doing them as a record in the system to say this project is on track or off track or whatever it might be. Yeah, and then we can report on that business case or that status report later on. Okay, coming down to level 3 here, we're seeing then the project portfolio. So this is the portfolio of all the projects across my organization. And obviously I can filter this, I can organize it how I want, change the views to my specific needs. And then I can go into this project now, and I talked about governance earlier, seeing what stage the projects were at. This is a simple governance example, a life cycle, a gate checklist, you might call it. But taking projects through this process, deciding what has to happen in order for a project to proceed, gives you that visibility, that automation. And then plugged into that, we've got the planner board. So how we can bring planner through as a set of tasks. Running slow today. It hasn't had its coffee yet either. But yeah, so bringing all these tasks in one place, being able to manage all the projects in that portfolio, in that ecosystem, getting all your status reports at project level, at program level, and all your risks, issues, actions, decisions, your lessons, your benefits, all in one place. And everything then is available for you to see. So every single task across every single project plan is all available in one place. Every single risk is all available for you in one place. You don't even have to be on a Copilot agent to get value from, technology is my point. I think many of you out there on this call, you might be delivering your projects and portfolios using, a standalone project plan, PowerPoint for reporting, manual reporting, lack of visibility, very quickly within 6 weeks without even using Copilot and AI. You can have a tool like this. Yeah. So that's my point. Is Copilot agents will become exponentially more powerful when it's got all this data, all this information in one place. It can point to that, and it knows what the risks are across the portfolio. It knows the project health across the portfolio, the lessons across the portfolio, because it's all in one place. When we plug in the Copilot agent after that, it'll be an amazing world. All right. Cool. So I'm 2 minutes over. Is that within tolerance, Richard?
Certainly is, Joel.
Good stuff. I hope that was useful. I just want to take you through the story, everybody, and then I'm just going to resume my slides and just end on a few kind of key points, mini set of key points, quick takeaways for iCoPlan. Getting visibility of that portfolio is key. Automation is possible without Copilot, and having a system in place can really help the Copilot agent become exponentially more valuable. Cool. Richard, do you want to take control? Can you press it? Oh, well done, mate. You've done it. Cool.
Good morning. Okay, let's just check this is working. Right. Can you see the slide about me?
We can indeed, mate.
Good.
It's a better picture than mine.
It did take a couple of takes, to be honest with you, Joel, but yeah. Good morning, everybody. I'm Richard Llewellyn. I'm the practice manager at iCoTech services. My background is mainly process improvements, working with ERP systems like finance and operations, PPM solutions such as Planner, Project, even worked with Monday.com, Clarizen, and project management and accounting modules within ERP as well. Obviously working with Power Apps then to support with any of those gaps with those ERP solutions, and then wrapping Power BI around the whole kind of solution there. So what I'm going to be talking to you about today is Copilot 365 and custom agents. So Joel's taken you through a few scenarios as to what is the difference between Copilot 365 and agents. And I just wanted to take you through a few examples here of if we were asking Copilot 365 some standard kind of PPM related type questions. So within this slide, we're asking the Copilot 365, what are the lessons that are relevant to the Copilot deployment project? And as you can see, the Copilot 365 is going away and is looking at various different sources within my environment. It's looking at Teams, it's looking at any of the transcribed messages, it's looking at Outlook, and it's looking at my OneDrive. But all of my lessons are actually captured in a lessons learned catalog within iCoPlan. But Copilot 365 is not configured to pick up that particular data source. So it's doing the best that it can with the information and the data sources that's available. But in my world, Copilot gets confused because it picks up some conversations I'm having with clients, and it picks up conversations that I'm having internally. So if I did want to know what are my lessons internally, it's presenting a lot of information that's related to conversations I'm having with my customers. So it's not exactly giving me what I need. It's a very similar situation as well when we're looking at actions, because for me, actions are based in my action log. Copilot 365 is not related an action to a task. So there's some task information that's missing there. And yet again, it's picked up some of the actions that's been agreed from a meeting I had with a customer to do with a functional specification walkthrough. And as it's gone through all of my emails, all of my meetings, it's basically returned around 100 different actions from lots of different places. If we ask Copilot 365 to create a status report for the Copilot project, as you can see here, it's given me some type of an executive summary. So it's just put together what it thinks I want to see as part of a status report. It's not based on a particular format, a particular template. So this could be different every time I ask it to create a status report each week. And with this status report, it's actually picked up that this particular project is dependent upon a Microsoft Enterprise agreement. That's not true. I don't know where that information's come from, but it's definitely not recorded against my project. What it has done is blended my Copilot project with another project that's similar to Copilot. If we were asking the Copilot 365 as well, what's required to progress the Copilot project to the next stage gate, it's yet again picking up internal discussions, external discussions, and now it's referencing a delivery methodology that's actually my customers. It's not mine. So yet again, this isn't quite giving me what I need. So when we start looking at a Copilot agent, a lot of people kind of ask me, well, where do you start with agents? Because we know there's lots of different tools available within AI. Which one do I use? Where do I start? What's the licensing? How does security work? And I always say to my customers, put the technology aside for a moment and let's think about what business problem you're trying to solve. So I always start this journey with thinking about the prompts, the user cases. What is the business needs in an organization? What kind of questions or prompts are users going to ask this agent if I turn this on tomorrow? So with some of those prompts, you can start thinking about, well, would I like to book a meeting? Do I want to look at lessons? Do I want to look at actions? Do I want to generate status reports? Do I want to do some type of a benefit cost analysis? What is that user case? So just start thinking about that prompt first. Because what the agent is actually doing is trying to understand the topic and the intent. It's trying to understand what is it that I think you're trying to do. So with some of these examples here, you can see the intent is book a meeting or related lessons or summarize my actions, create a report. So that's what it's thinking you're asking. So it's trying to apply some rationale and some logic. It's then trying to think, well, where do I go to get this information from? So with some of these examples here, like I'd like to book the meeting with the team members, that's going to need access to the projects table because it needs to pick up the Copilot project. It needs to pick up a teams table that would have the security or the team setting for which teams are part of that project and which users are part of that team. And then obviously that's where the users come in. And because we're trying to book something for next week, it's going to look for the calendar. We might want to send a Teams or an Outlook invite. So it's going to need Outlook as well. So these are some of the things that we're thinking about when we just look at a topic or a prompt. The next piece then is action. So now that I know what your intent is and I know where to go and look for the information, what do you want me to do next? Am I just presenting this information to you? Am I generating something? Am I sending something? So it's just thinking about what that particular action is. And when you get to this stage, that's when you can understand the other areas of Copilot. So you may come across a term called fallbacks. So this is when the agent can't give you the answer that it needs to, or when the same user has asked the same question 3 times and it can't give you the response, is what should I do? Should I refer them to another agent? Should I refer them to a live agent? Should I direct them to a PMO team or a HR team? So that's what that kind of fallback process is. And then you're thinking of the tools. So in order for me to action or introduce this prompt, what kind of tools are required for this? What kind of security model do I need to implement around Copilot? So if I do have somebody referencing a Copilot deployment project, but they're not a project manager and they're not a team member, should they be able to access that project information through the Copilot agents? You're then starting to understand the volume of the agents, how many prompts are being asked, how many users are on board. What's the uptake? Is this something that's being improved and taken up by new users every day over a couple of weeks? And then you start thinking about the licensing as well. To start thinking about, well, what kind of licensing model do I need to run these type of agents? And then with all that kind of information, then you're in a position where you can develop a strong kind of return on investment. So that's generally where I recommend our clients start is push the technology to the side and think about the business problem that you're trying to solve. So we've actually built a Copilot agent around iCoPlan to mainly address a need around the retrieval of information. So it's focused more around a PMO support agent. So I'll take you through a few of the prompts that we've taken our Copilot agent through, and you can see some of the responses. So if you remember some of the responses we were getting from Copilot 365, you'll see now that the Copilot agent is giving me information that's a lot more relevant because it's been trained to and it's been configured to do exactly what I want it to do. So if I'm a new project manager, I've started in an organization, I might have 10 years experience managing projects, but I'm not particularly familiar with delivering projects in a certain framework or in a certain industry. This is where this kind of agent can kind of help. So I could ask the agent to outline the project delivery methodology and specify which documents need to be produced throughout the process. So the agent's gone away, it's looked at SharePoint because I've connected Copilot, my agent to SharePoint. And within SharePoint, there's just 5 documents that are validated documents that basically outline what my delivery process is, what my roles and responsibilities are, how I should be tracking benefits within the public sector, and how I should be managing major projects or major programs as well. So there's only 5 documents in the SharePoint, and I've turned off all other type of knowledge sources. So it doesn't go to Bing or Google to try and find some information and generate something that it thinks I need. This is based on validated data sources. So as you can see now, it's given me a full run through of what's required for each stage. And as you can see, it's outlined all of the documents that are required. As you can see here, it's also highlighted that there is some type of a stage and governance and decision-making process. So I could ask the agent another question then, because I can see there's some stage gates in there, but I'm not familiar with what those stage gates are. So I could ask the agent again, can you tell me what these decision points are? As you can see, it's gone away, it's looked at the information, and it has generated a response based on my specific question. Now we can see that the agent has told me that there's some business case documents that's going to be required, but I haven't developed business cases in this environment before. So I might want to ask the agent, well, what business cases are required? So you can keep it quite generic at the beginning. So we're just asking her what kind of details should go into a business case. So as you can see now, it's giving me quite a generic response, but still based on my internal framework on what information should be captured on every type of business case. But as you can see towards the bottom, I've actually found out there's 3 different business cases that are needed, not just one. So now I might ask the agent, using the guidance, using our framework, can you actually develop a SOC business case for me? But can you use the data in Dataverse and Planner? And the reason why I've said Dataverse is because that's where all of the information from iCoPlan is stored. It's in a Dataverse table at the moment. I could train my agent to identify the term iCoPlan. So users wouldn't need to kind of say Dataverse, but at the moment, we're just asking it to retrieve information from Planner directly as well as Dataverse. So as you can see now, it's actually generated the business case. It's not telling me what should go in there. It's gone away. If the information is in Dataverse, it's extracted that information, summarized that information, and put it into a format based on my kind of template. As you can see, there's quite a lot of information that's going into this SOC business case. And as you can see now, I've picked up a particular area around governance, because it's talking about defining roles and responsibilities, including an SRO. But I might not be from public sector, so I don't know what an SRO is. So yet again, I could go back to my agent. Apologies, this is just continued, just to show you that within your business case, it does pick up your task information as well, because I asked it to include information from Planner as well as Dataverse. So in my business case, it's giving me the high-level schedule of where that plan is and the kind of progress against it. So as a SRO, can you just tell me what my responsibilities are? So yet again, it's gone away, it's left the SharePoint. And as you can see towards the bottom, there's 6 references here. And it's basically looked at these documents, summarized this information, and then told me the general responsibilities of an SRO. I might be sitting there thinking, oh, I'm not quite happy with all of those responsibilities. I might want to go and speak to somebody about the SRO. So I could ask the agent then to draft an email to Richard Llewellyn and include the details from my previous prompt. And as you can see now, it's taken the information from the Copilot agent and it's drafted an Outlook email, and it's actually popped Richard Llewellyn in the top there as well. If I wanted to, I could ask the agent to book a Teams meeting. I could ask the agent to find a convenient time for us both to discuss this in more detail and send a Teams invite around it. So there's some of the other things that you can do. And this is where we're moving into that more of that stage 2 of the agents, where Joel was talking earlier about retrieval and automation, etc. A lot of the questions at the beginning are your stage 1 piece. And as you start moving into these actions now, this is where it's more of that stage 2, that kind of phase 2 piece. Could also ask the agent according to my Agile BPF, which is a business process flow, because we might have different projects having different types of delivery methodology, whether it's a low value or a high value or low impact, high impact type project. So I just say, as a project manager, I've entered the organization, I've now found out what I should be doing with my projects, but I might not know which projects are mine. So I could even ask the agent, can you show me which projects are mine that fall within this type of delivery methodology? So as you can see, it's gone away, it's picked up some of the projects by the stages as well. And I could be asking about how long has it been in some of these stages? And as you can see now, it's breaking it down into more detailed task planning lines that are kind of grouped for some of our budgeting. Some of the other things that we could do is asking our agent to create a project status report. Now, the reason why I've put this into our agent and showed you the user case earlier is because this is actually following a format that we've determined, because there's certain things I want to see every single week, and I want to report on certain areas. So yet again, it's picked up the benefits, which is what I want. My RAID log is giving me a summary, and on the second page, there's a lot more details in that as well. But as you can see here, there's no benefits that's being added to the system. So that's the first conversation I want to have with somebody, is to say this project's been running now for 9 months. It's been in stage 2 for 115 days, and we still haven't identified any benefits. Let's do some type of a benefit analysis or realization type session. I can see that there's several risks here as well, and most of them are rated red. So yet again, I might want to arrange a meeting to have some type of a mitigation plan. All of my actions are overdue. So now I'm already starting to think this project is kind of code red at the moment, regardless of what the rest of us say. But the summary, as you can see, Copilot agrees with some of the things I'm saying. It's saying it's got overdue actions. It needs immediate focus. There are no documented benefits. So that's the kind of power of having an agent that has the right data sources and knows where to look and understands what your intent is, because that's how you're going to get kind of buy-in from your end users. So when we start looking at what's required to start looking at Copilot agents, like Joel basically has been saying throughout the last kind of 40 minutes, is that you do need good data, you need mature processes. If you do have good data and good processes, then you're in a good place to start looking at Copilot Studio. One of the things I do love about Microsoft and Copilot is the security model. Is everything falls within the 365 Copilot, it falls within the 365 security model. And what I mean by that is if you've got Copilot connected to SharePoint, if the user does not have the relevant permissions to create or review or edit files in SharePoint, they won't be able to do it through the agent. If they're not given a portfolio or a program or a project manager type security role within Power Platform, that's going to restrict what they can and can't do. It's the same as if you've got team members who are just doing tasks, but they're trying to query project data or financial data, all of that can be mapped within 365. So I think the security modeling for Copilot is really good. It's really powerful. And just going back to what I said earlier, focus on your data, focus on your process, and I'm sure Copilot will add a lot of value in your organization. So that's it from me on the Copilot Studio agents. If you would like to see the agent in work and practice, then please feel free to reach out to the team. There's some barcodes now for the next step. So if you do want to follow us, keep up to date, there are barcodes on the left. If you're interested in seeing more about kind of iCoPlan, Copilot, or any of the other type of services that we offer, then scan the barcode on the right. But Joel, I believe we're opening up for Q&A.
Yeah, thank you, mate. That was brilliant. That was really insightful. Thank you very much for doing that, Richard. You know, even as a PPM practitioner now, my head goes crazy with the opportunity, you know, for the agent and what it can do, posted, you know, even on top of those use cases that you've already talked through there. But I guess the purpose of this session, this part of the session, is to open the floor up to anybody on the call. Any questions? Even if you want to raise your hand, if you just want to come off mute and ask a question of Richard or myself, more than happy to answer any questions. You know, even if you want to put a question to the meeting chat, feel free to do that as well.